Hey guys, Dantix here. Bioware truly built something incredible with the Mass Effect trilogy. The rich lore-filled universe they created is the baseline for many comparisons today. With the release of the Legendary Edition, gamers that haven't had a chance to check a series out before have jumped on board and been taken on a wild ride. Now fans new and old have to brace themselves for the next Mass Effect, which is officially in development. With a new game on its way, I have to ask, what are the best and the worst features in the Mass Effect trilogy and Andromeda, and what should be added to Mass Effect 4? So in this video, I'll run through exactly that, the best and the worst things, the lessons we have learned, and how Mass Effect 4 can improve upon them, including the morality system, combat pacing, choices, sound, and more. Before we start, take a look at this. It's the Mass Effect Legendary Cache. It contains, among other things, this sweet N7 helmet that can glow both Paragon and Renegade. To win this now unobtainable mint condition collector's item, all you need to do is, well, be a regular on the channel and my socials. Yep, well, that's it. Comment and like and follow on each new video or post, and at the end of the year I'll pick a random using an app. Check out the comment below for more information. Good luck guys. Now let's start with the morality system. In Mass Effect 1 it was at its worst. You had to pick Paragon or Renegade and stick to these dialogue options. If you didn't, a lot of choices would be locked off to you. It was the illusion of choice. You needed a high Paragon or a high Renegade for notable moments. The biggest for me was the dialogue that keeps Rex alive.
I don't think so, friend.
Why the hell did you do that?
The difference between them both was also the most extreme in Mass Effect 1. Paragon being uncomfortably good at points and Renegade being downright xenophobic. Mass Effect 3 improved on the system the most, where no matter the Paragon or Renegade choice, it would increase your overall reputation, unlocking dialogue options for you the more reputation you had total. Andromeda completely scrapped this system and in turn let you say whatever you want within a range of 4 emotions. You'd think this would be a good thing, but the emotions rarely added anything different to the dialogue and more or less failed miserably to capture the Mass Effect magic, a point reiterated by almost every journalist who reviewed this title. So, I don't want to hear your counterpoints in the comments, alright? You're allowed to like what you like, guys, but Andromeda's dialogue options were the Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 1 of magic. I know I'm being cold, but stay extra frosty.
The command base is just ahead. I know it's already pretty cold here, but stay extra frosty.
This may have been a symptom of rushed development, but most choices you made weren't any different to the others. The morality system is very Bioware, and taking it away feels like you're taking away Mass Effect's identity. In the next Mass Effect, I want to see more Mass Effect 3 morality reputation systems, but instead, your neutral choices get their own unique options and interrupts, as well as the Paragon and Renegade choices, giving you a more rounded response instead of just the extremes. So you have your hardcore Renegade options like pushing people out of windows, or Paragon making enemies commit suicide, but also neutral, which would be a more rational or human way of reacting. You see a pie jack in your house, Renegade crushes it under their boot, Paragon kisses it tenderly, and neutral guides it to the door with a broom. Bring on the broom choices, Bioware, I dare you. Now, dialogue is important, but let's not forget about combat. Let's start with the less obvious difference between Andromeda and the trilogy, the use of the Y-axis, or the ability to jump, air dash, and generally freely move around the environment. This is a feature that elevated the already fun combat of Mass Effect 3 and took it to a new level. Okay, that one wasn't a pun, but actually with that small change, verticality suddenly played a part. Giving bonuses for high ground could be a thing, Anakin, as well as abilities that take advantage of hovering and air movement. It's not often talked about, but this seemingly small change, which would have been much more than just flipping a switch in development, took a cover-based shooter and made the universe your cover. Before you'd walk into an area, see the walls and boxes laid about, and new combat was coming. In Andromeda, you could jump on top of buildings, get behind anything, and even use an ability to deploy cover anywhere you like. With more freedom of movement, we were offered more vertical battle arenas and more ways to be outwardly aggressive or take advantage of the environment. This was one of the features I think Andromeda pulled off extremely well. You can say a lot about Andromeda, but you can't say the combat sucked. Continuing on from combat, we have the skill system. When comparing the trilogy to Andromeda, the most obvious change is the tired faces.
Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
But the second is the lack of classes. Andromeda lets you put points across combat, biotic, and tech skills and passives that mix and match a variety of 3 skills. You then pick a profile which provides passive buffs based on how many points you invested in an area. For example, if you split your attention across combat and biotic skills, you unlock the Vanguard profile that, when equipped, provides bonuses to melee damage among other things like a biotic dodge. You could equip Biotic Charge, Nova, and Frag Grenade as your skills. The trilogy was more traditional in that it gave you a choice of classes and you had skills and passives within. The difference being you could equip as many skills as you like, but were locked into that class. Now I know what you're thinking, Dan, you're pretty damn cool and Andromeda sounds like an upgrade. The answer to both of those is, I can see why you think that, but you're wrong. Andromeda added a ton more options in the sheer quantity of skills and passives, which is natural of the next game in the franchise, but overall I think the fluid class system was a mistake, for many reasons. First, you didn't have a sense of identity. In the trilogy, if you picked an adept, for example, there were moments in dialogue where it was acknowledged. You felt like an adept. You had a playstyle you could fine-tune, and I think the next Mass Effect should double down on that. Make your identity a part of the world. In Andromeda, you could pick the adept profile and 3 skills, but that limitation had you feeling a bit light in combat. The devs couldn't give you too much freedom since the player could pick anything. Therefore, skills and passives needed to be quite generalized as to not break the game. The developers added some skill choices, but because you didn't have a class, they didn't need to give you another layer of choice within that. After picking my 3 skills, I felt the rest of my points weren't really needed and I just chucked them in passives that didn't matter. I much rather defined classes with a lot of layers of choice within those classes. The fact that you could switch skills and profiles at any time and reset choices, which let you experiment, took away a lot of the replay value artificially. In the trilogy, you would finish the game and want to start back up again as a different class and make different choices, in true RPG fashion. In Andromeda, you may want to start again to try new dialogue options, but I don't know many people that want to try a new playstyle. So to reiterate, Andromeda took the class role-playing out of role-playing game. The fluid class system is brought to you by Sam, so moving forward I think Mass Effect should stick to individual classes since there won't be a Sam, and work at fleshing those out even more, like they did with the jump from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2, where, for example, the Sentinel got access to a tech shield and the Vanguard got the biotic charge. Suddenly both their playstyles changed drastically. Perhaps Vanguard could further expand upon the new kind of verticality of the game to dash and weave in and out of combat at blinding biotic speed like the Spectre you fought in the Shadow Broker DLC. A more defined class system gives you more choice overall, with an opportunity for more creativity. Carrying on from skills in Andromeda by following some story beats, you can unlock a skill, the Remnant VI, which is not available to you from the start of the game. It's a tech ability you can invest into once unlocked. It's the only skill you can unlock, and nothing else was done with this idea. I think it's something that can be expanded on to further add choice to the game. Imagine a situation where you have to choose between, say, a legendary weapon or a new skill, or perhaps choosing between 2 different powerful skills, further letting you customize your character and adding replayability. In a game that celebrates player choice in dialogue, it would be nice to see these choices culminate in a tangible way. Choices need to be vast, and this is a sci-fi RPG, so the universe needs to feel convincingly vast as well. Mass Effect 1 had you essentially, if you break it down, clicking on buttons to explore the universe. Andromeda though adds depth to this transition in a breathtaking fashion, letting you zoom to and from planets. Okay, yes, this is clicking on buttons to explore the universe too, but shut up. Andromeda gives you a true sense of scale and looks damn beautiful to boot. I always find myself reading the tidbits of lore on each planet, but for the first time in the series, I really felt the scale. For the next Mass Effect, I think they need to double down on Andromeda's planet and system transitions, but add an option to fast forward or skip. Graphically, let's not even get into the facial animations of Andromeda. We all know some human characters had real jank going on, but let's talk about what Andromeda did right. The rain effects. Just look at these glistening characters. Beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, here's a controversial hot take. It's good to have a variety of characters and personalities, but not every single male character needs to be sensitive, friendly, or lacking any testosterone, and inversely, not every female needs to have their femininity eliminated. In Andromeda, this was the case. Even Drac, who's an old Krogan around 1,000 years old. The assumption is he's the baddest of asses, as only the strongest Krogans survive. Krogans don't exactly have a life of moderation and safety, yet he is caring, sensitive, nurturing, and friendly. Once again, this is fine, it could work for him, and that could be the hook. But every single male feels like that. The universe shouldn't be one happy playground. There are bad people around. Things can be dark, gritty, and unfriendly. Inversely, there could be feminine females who are soft-spoken and traditionally attractive. Let's not neuter reality. Your crew don't all need to be friendly towards you as well. Why can't you have a range of personalities with their own motivations? Another example of bad writing is the need to make strong female characters, but instead of actually writing strength with actions, they write them as obnoxious and rude, then slap you around the face with it. Strength doesn't come by showing up male characters or talking back against male authority like some daddy issue power fantasy. It comes from what characters do, how they grow, what they fight. It's okay to acknowledge or even celebrate differences. And just shaving one side of their head doesn't do that. Since I'm probably already in hot water for speaking reality, I might as well continue. It's fine to show male characters topless for 3 scenes in a row for no reason at all. Completely fine. No, really, I'm not being sarcastic. The game is appealing to a range of sexualities and interests, but if you show Liam's six-pack for half his character arc, which is completely true, if you actually look at all the moments you do spend time with him on the ship, more than half of his arc he is topless. So if you're okay with that, you have to be accepting of Miranda's ass being shown off as well. I feel as though people who complain about sexualization are really just hoping to change the world to be more attracted to how they themselves look. They don't want the standard to be high, so they have a chance with a higher quality of partner. Reality is though that the next Mass Effect will have a large audience and should therefore have a large range of beautiful men, women, and other characters for you to live out any role you want within this fantasy. If you remember, the God of War Ragnarok trailer dropped recently, and online there were screens for Thor to be more attractive since he was rocking a dad bod, which is more lore accurate. If you're offended that sex appeal is appreciated, change yourself. Don't try to change the world. The devs should not be intimidated by these loud minority groups. So in the next Mass Effect, I'd like a host of different personality types, masculine, feminine, and all in between. Good-looking people and not so much. Celebrate all the universe has to offer and give players choice. More than one. The Morinth romance is one I constantly reference. Here's a crewmate that's not there for you and will manipulate and kill you if you give in. Never before has a game given you a game over screen for sleeping with someone. So, we talked about empty writing, but what about empty rooms? In the trilogy, but mostly Andromeda, we had a host of empty, lifeless rooms. You'd be exploring the room and you might only have one table and one computer in there, or in Andromeda's case, nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Perhaps this was a symptom of ambition, but I would rather a more focused, semi-linear experience rather than an illusion of an open world. This would let the devs make areas more rich and dense rather than small event spaces separated by big empty nothing. Scale is important to make the universe seem massive, but not every area needs to show off scale. Andromeda tries a bit too hard to make multiple expansive worlds, and in doing so, the main campaign suffers. It's exceedingly short for a Mass Effect title, if you don't involve yourself fully in the side content, that is. In one case in particular, you complete a mission which only takes a few minutes of clicking around, then immediately after, you're presented with the next mission which has your crew acting like it's been quite some time since you completed the one just before it.
Feels different coming back here now.
We're different. We're ready.
We're different now is said. The game assumes you did side content between it when you may not have. Assumes your crew has had time to grow and develop during that time between them. The next Mass Effect needs to focus on what it does well. Tell a good story. That means the mainline mission should be semi-linear and therefore get the handcrafted attention they deserve, while branching side content along the way. Kind of like a tree. The trunk follows one direction, but you can branch off. Instead of Andromeda dumping you into worlds for its main line, then dumping you onto another. The meat of the worlds being done through exploration and side missions, not through the main mission. With a solid, oak-like root, we would not only be feeling less anxious, we would be getting all the exercise. The pacing and quality won't be all over the place. Speaking of pacing, something the Mass Effect series has always done well is lead you up to an epic moment. Battle for the Citadel, the Suicide Mission, and even the battle for Earth or Meridian. We all know just how fantastic Mass Effect 2's Suicide Mission was, so I don't need to say much about it. It's constantly referred to as one of the best final missions of any game ever made, and for good reason. The whole game leads to that moment, and it has a very real consequence for your choices and actions. What's not talked about though is Andromeda's final mission. The game does few things right, but one of those is giving you that tear-jerking moment of camaraderie, of colourful characters you met along the way coming together to fight a common enemy. If only you cared about those characters more, but that's a debate for another time. The next Mass Effect should have that epic final battle, where the choices you've made up to that point culminate in a final mission that serves as a reward for all your struggles thus far. For example, if you recruited a band of mercs, they show up and make it easier.
We'll guard the Hyperion.
Kandros, who's with you?
The invitation was open, unless you're refusing Kadara's help.
We hold the Ket, you secure Meridian.
Let's find the Archive.
Bioware games are about making you feel like a badass, that power fantasy, and the end is the ultimate way of doing so. So the power fantasy is a very Bioware trait and serves as the #1 thing that RPGs need to do to be successful. I talk more about it in this video below. Something that slightly sucks the power fantasy away is taking away your gear and abilities in hub areas while locking you into dry movement. This is a small thing, and I understand the devs not wanting us to fire upon civilians, but why not? You spend most of your time getting used to your dashing, jumps, dodges, and abilities, but then it's all jarringly taken away from you in sections that could really use them because they're usually quite long. I'm not saying let you kill innocents, even though that would make for an interesting reload or game over screen. I'm saying don't lock off sprint when you've let us use it up to this point. Don't lock off abilities. Let us test them out in a bit of an open area. Hubs don't have to be tired, slow walks from conversation to conversation. Or slow walks to a vendor. As Andromeda has an exceeding amount of junk items to pick up. During all that busy work you do inside missions, it's very rare that you come across items of value. Instead, they fluff it up by giving you a ton of junk items, which you can sell or in better cases use for crafting. It got to the point where I wouldn't even read what I was picking up. It would just make it so I would pick up everything and filter through what I wanted when I had time. The next Mass Effect should make drops interesting, meaningful, or at least humorous. I don't mind randomized drops, which was a step away from the trilogy, but there needs to be some effort or consistency there, not just random things for the sake of it. Mass Effect could learn a lot from the Diablo series. Even junk has its uses, and drops could be interesting in the form of gems which you can socket in, or runes to make your items more powerful. The next Mass Effect should engage its audience more. What the Diablo series also did right was their amazing and iconic sound design. If I mention picking up a potion, all of us can instantly recollect the sound. Mass Effect has always had epic cinematic scenes and a great soundtrack, but Bioware can definitely do more. When you think Mass Effect, what sound comes to mind? For me, it's the suicide mission theme. Bioware have the potential for greatness with Mass Effect 4, and a solid sound design and great voice acting could help elevate everything else. And with that, this video is at its end. What did you think? Do you agree with my points? Disagree? Let me know below. I'd love to have that discussion. Don't forget, the competition for Mass Effect's Legendary Cache is still going on, so be sure to get yourself in the running. Also, do the typical YouTube stuff, it really helps me out. For everything Bioware and RPG, keep your eyes peeled to Slashdantix. Ciao, friends.